So go ahead and open Cura, and this is the main image that you're going to see when you open up the software. We're going to be going over every single little small button within the software today, and we're also going to be going into some of the slicer settings, which is this very, very long list of settings, and hopefully we'll demystify it a little bit, so when you start off you'll go, oh my god, there's so many settings, and then hopefully by the end of the day you'll go, okay, I don't need these I don't really care about, but these are very important, and those are the ones we're going to touch on today. We'll be starting off in the top left corner up here. File, this is the place where you can absolutely start a new project, open up files, but what I really recommend for everyone is to just learn the keyboard shortcuts as fast as possible. For example, if you want to bring an item into Thingiverse, you can go Control-O, and you can double click, and then it will bring in a part. For example, we've got our very, very popular 3D Benchy, the torture test tugboat. As far as under edit, then we can also select all of our models and also multiply them as well. So I can do this just by clicking on it and it highlights it in blue. And then I can click Control-M for multiply and I can type in any I want. So if I want 9 more, I can click 9 and enter, and it will fill up my build plate with all of my different benches. In previous versions of Cura, it would normally lay it out into a nice neat grid, but in this version, which is version 4.12, the most current edition right now, it arranges them in the most neat and compact order as possible, which will give you a better surface finish. The less travel distance your nozzle has to move, the less time there is for plastic to ooze out, and thus gives you less stringing. So having it compact is just fine by me. And if we want to get rid of them, we can always click Control-Z to undo it. The View tab up here will also allow us to change all different views and how we interact with it, but there's also a bunch of shortcuts that use your keyboard and your mouse as well. For example, you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in or out. You can click and hold the scroll wheel to pan all around. You can use your right wheel to orbit, and you can click on your parts and move it around. So if you need to get in really, really important, accurate little views of everything, you can absolutely zoom in and check out all of the small features associated with it. Continuing on, the settings, this is where you can actually see all of your features about your printer especially. So if you have multiple printers associated with your Cura settings, this will populate with all of those different features. For us, we're going to say we only have one Ender 3 printer, so we can actually check it out right here. And if we wanted to, we could go to Manage Printers, and then we have a few settings over here. We can check out the machine settings, which will show us the G-code at the very beginning or the very end. Later down the line in this program, we are going to be editing those to make it much more customizable, much more efficient, and that'll be a lot of fun if you like coding. We can also get to this screen also by clicking Control-J, and that pops up this screen as well. Under General, this is where we're going to see some of the features that we can change and edit about all of our preferences in here. The settings, this will give us our full list of every single thing we can change in Cura. We won't be using most of them, so don't be worried about that. The printers, we only have one printer. Our materials, this is a place that I very, very rarely go into. This is basically just saying, well, I've got this specific brand of PLA or HIPS or PC, so I can associate all different settings with it. Generally, I just print PLA and TPU, so I don't really need to mess around and hit too much. And we also have the profile section where you can import and then use other people's settings, or you can export. So if you have a really good set of slicing settings that you really like and work really well for you, you can also export it and then give it to someone else. But generally, this is kind of known as being a tricky part of the software. Further on, we have got our extensions portion, and this is where Cura and a lot of slices become really, really fun and interesting, where we can actually have apps that can do a lot of work for us. For example, under the extensions, we can go to post-processing, modify G-code, and we have a thing called a plugin. This is where we can actually put in, well, we can plug in other bits of information. we can do something called add a script, which is basically just a paragraph of code that you can put into your slicing software. We'll be playing around with this in a little bit. Currently, I have a little script on here where it says, hey, I want to display the progress on my LCD. So while my part is printing, it has a little loading bar which says how many layers it has actually printed. And that's kind of hard to understand, but if it says, hey, you've been printing for 30 minutes and this is a 35-minute print, I can go, oh great, it's almost done. So I've selected this and it says, hey, trigger that every 15 seconds. So every 15 seconds it's going to be updating with the new time. I'm going to close that down. Again, under preferences, not a tremendously exciting portion of this software. The one that you will find to be quite useful is actually unchecking add machine prefix. If you have this checked, which it is when you have the original stock software going up, it means every time you save a software, it goes CE3 underscore blah, 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 that's your name. And you only have a certain amount of room on the LCD. So if you uncheck that, it means you can see much more of your file name. And then help is just a little section on troubleshooting, but I found it's pretty good, but there are some other websites that I generally recommend for other people.